Water, Mr. Rango, water. Without it, there is nothing but dust and decay. But with water, there is life. Look at them. So desperate to live, they'll follow it anywhere. That's the immutable law of the desert. Control the water, and you control everything. Tortoise John, also known as the Mayor, is the central antagonist for the animated movie Rango. He's an old tortoise who rules over the land of dirt, controlling almost everything in it. He's calm, sophisticated, charismatic, yet you as the viewer can't help but see through his facade as you catch a glimpse of the greed hidden underneath his manufactured concern for the people of his town. After rewatching Rango and seeing this man, or rather animal, play his role right until the end, I couldn't help but find him compelling. I also couldn't help but find that very few people were talking about the movie Rango, specifically this villain Tortoise John, which is why I have decided to talk about him. So let's get into it. Who exactly is Tortoise John and what exactly is he in Rango? We are first introduced to Tortoise John, also known as the Mayor, when Rango, the protagonist, visits his office. We see that he is occupied, allowing Rango to wait outside as he basks in unease. While Rango waits, there are two paintings above him that paint a message. The use of imagery is prevalent in Rango, and that fact is exemplified greatly in this shot. As you can clearly see, there are two paintings of the Mayor brandishing a shotgun as well as a bow and arrow, both weapons pointing at our protagonist. This signifies that he is actually a target, but the naive Rango is currently unaware of this. Instead, he is led into the mayor's office right after being left, like lamb to the slaughter. By the way, I actually saw this from a post on Reddit and I can't believe I missed it. The movie is filled with so much imagery to glean from though, and the more you rewatch it, the more you notice. It is when Rango enters the mayor's office for the first time that he is greeted with the opening line.
Water, Mr. Rango. Water.
Which fully encapsulates the philosophy and mindset of our antagonist, showing us what truly makes him a dreadful force in the story: control. Tortoise John is not only the mayor by title, but he is also the one with the largest supply of water in the entire town of Dirt. He owns most of the land, and he also has full authority to appoint whoever he deems fit as law enforcement. This can be seen when he makes Rango sheriff, and also when he uses Rattlesnake Jake as his muscle. The town people are powerless against him. But this isn't due to his employment of dictatorship tactics or totalitarianism. No, he doesn't demand their subservience. They willingly give it to him. Tortoise John doesn't lead people through fear, but by the simple law of demand and supply. By manipulating the flow of water, cutting off the land of dirt from its abundance, he hoards what is left and uses the leash of hope to make them do his bidding. Everyone in town is under his control without them even realizing it. They listen to him, look up to him, and give him unwavering respect and loyalty. They are all under his control. The story of Rango primarily focuses on the land of dirt, which is plagued by drought. There is no water present and everyone in town is struggling, trying their hardest to survive. Only once a week, on Wednesday, the day of hydration, does water flow in the town. The people are made to chant religiously, dance like robots, and even hurt one another like mindless puppets on strings, just for a bottle or a glass of water. And the movie makes you feel their thirst too, with the dry surface of their skin and how parched the entire atmosphere looks. These people are miserable, but that isn't all. One particular Wednesday, on the promised day, the sacred hour, the moment of hydration, something unexpected happens. The water does not come. There is no water given. Still, that isn't all. The water that is left can barely last a week, and with everyone struggling to survive, tension begins to rise. The future is bleak and there is little hope, but everyone keeps trudging forward. Why? Why do these people keep hanging on even though the situation is this terrible? Well, let's see what Tortoise John says to Rango. You see them, Mr. Rango? All my friends and neighbors. It's a hard life here, very hard. You know how they make it through each and every day? They believe. They believe it's going to be better. They believe that the water will come. They believe against all odds and all evidence that tomorrow will be better than today. People have to believe in something. Right now, they believe in you. Tortoise John manipulates this desire, this belief that burns the hearts of the residents of this town. He uses Rango to control them. He also controls Rango like a puppet so he can have a pawn to quell the rising discontent among the masses. Rango, the gullible fraud with the glib tongue, was a perfect chess piece, one the mayor used very effectively for a while, and one he would have continued to use. But Rango made discoveries of his own. He found out the awful truth. The mayor is somehow behind the water shortage.
Okay.
Control the water and you control everything. But I don't have to tell you that, being a true man of the West as you are. At first, there seems to be some mutual respect, camaraderie even, between Tortoise John and Rango. Rango, the naive fraud who is new in town, easily falls for the mayor's charms and has no choice but to go along with his flow. Unknown to him, this amiable persona is but a mask. You see, to the mayor, Rango is no different from everything else, something he must control. At the end of their first interaction, he is successful in tying a leash around Rango by making him a sheriff and burdening him with a false sense of responsibility and power. Rango, of course, immerses himself in his newfound position as sheriff and soon becomes intoxicated with it. He fails to realize that just as the mayor weaponizes the beliefs of the townspeople against them, he also weaponizes Rango's belief of himself as a hero against him as well. Rango continues to become a pawn for Tortoise John up until the point where he recognizes that the mayor is up to no good. Despite being a phony, Rango sees the people suffering and musters the courage to stand up to the mayor. But that doesn't end well for him at all. Enter Rattlesnake Jake. This remains one of my favorite animated character designs of all time. A rattlesnake with a machine gun as a tail. Classic, absolute cinema. If Tortoise John serves as the philosophical/intellectual threat to Rango, then Rattlesnake Jake is presented as the physical threat. He is considered nigh invincible by the people of the town, and he becomes the one to expose Rango for what he truly is: a fraud. All of this is of course orchestrated by Tortoise John. Believe me when I tell you that this old tortoise is an expert manipulator with a terrifying understanding of human behavior and groupthink. If I could compare him to another animated movie villain, I would say Lotso from Toy Story 3. Tortoise John and Lotso share a lot of similarities, but while Lotso rules by fear and intimidation alongside the concept of reward and punishment, the carrot and the stick essentially, Tortoise John is a lot more subtle in his control over dirt. However, there is one individual that is unable to control, at least not fully, and that is Rattlesnake Jake. Rattlesnake Jake, also a villain in this movie, shows defiance to Tortoise John, almost the same kind Rango the hero shows. It is no wonder Tortoise John wishes to get rid of them both and create something modern, more sophisticated, something he deems to be completely in his control. As he told Rattlesnake Jake, "It's a new West, Jake. There's no room for gunslingers anymore. We're businessmen now. You and the sheriff are more alike than you think. You're nothing but legends. Pretty soon no one will believe you even existed. One last bullet to kill one last outlaw. How fitting." Of course, things don't go according to Tortoise John's plan, as Rango saves the day and the tortoise is washed away by the very water that he tried so hard to control. This brings us to the main issue, the central theme of the movie itself. There are a lot of messages in Rango, but to me, I believe it all boils down to the same list of issues: freedom, control, and change. Take the water, for example. Tortoise John tried to control the people by controlling the water, sealing their supply of it. But here's the thing, you can't really control water, which is why the mayor failed in the end. The spirit of the West is untamed. In fact, Tortoise John is washed away by the very water he tried to control, stopped by Rango, whom he tried to control, and taken away by Rattlesnake Jake, whom he tried to control as well. Do you see the pattern here? The failure of control. Even his wheelchair, which he controls so expertly in the movie, fails him at the last minute. It shows you that control is just an illusion. No man is in control of their destiny, at least not as much as they would like to believe. One important thing to note about Tortoise John's character is his obsession with progress and modernity. As someone who has lived for a very long time, he has witnessed a lot in his lifetime, including the construction of the highway where Rango had his accident. He has witnessed firsthand the steady march of civilization. This has given him an impression that makes him desire the same thing for the land of dirt. The sophistication that comes with modernity and seeking to do away with the old for something new. Tortoise John thought by controlling the water, he could control everyone, obtain their land, and then with full control over dirt, he could could create the world in his image, in the image that he deemed great. In an ironic sense, he sort of got what he wanted in the end, as Tortoise John represented everything wrong with the old, and by getting washed away, Dirt finally experienced true change. Just not the change he intended. A relevant thing to mention is that Tortoise John is disabled. This is very important, as I think it truly exemplifies why this character is so compelling. The mayor gives off a false sense of power. He maintains this control by dominating others despite being powerless himself. I'd also like to briefly talk about the Spirit of the West, which is an integral part of the core message in this movie. The Spirit of the West is a godlike entity which is actually modeled after Clint Eastwood. If you don't know what that is, then I don't know what to tell you. I found that to be a very nice detail added into the movie, and it ties into the overall theme of freedom, redemption, and self-discovery. Doing the right thing, not because it is easy or for your own self-serving reasons, but because people are counting on you to do it, even if it is hard. It was delivered so wonderfully well in Rango's vision, and I truly believe that is why the mayor lost. Everything he did was for himself. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the paradox of freedom that is present in the story. I said earlier that the Spirit of the West cannot be tamed, but what about the people? No man can choose to walk out of his own story. This is a core theme of Rango, yet it shows a restraint, a box in which every character is trapped in. Rango cannot escape his destiny no matter how hard he tries. And the same thing can be said for other characters. Rango remains the protagonist, Tortoise John remains the villain, and every other character in the story remains who they are, characters in the story. In a sense, the story is telling us that there is some form of control externally on these people, and perhaps control on us, the viewers also. Doesn't this contradict the message of freedom that the story seems to be telling? Well, I don't believe so. The message isn't totally lost, at least to me. After all, Rango starts this movie trapped in a box and also ends it in a box, the box of his own story. What is the difference though? What is the difference between this image and this image? I think it can be summed up into this. He is no longer alone, isolated in the confines of his own story. He is surrounded by everyone he has found along the way. I believe this is what it truly means to be free, even within the bounds of destiny. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my analysis of the character of Tortoise John. In a way, I sort of talked about Rango as a whole, but it was unavoidable. Please like this video and comment on it if you haven't already. Pretty please. Thank you. Also subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. We are really trying to reach 1,000 subscribers and we really need you to help us out. I would love to hear your thoughts on the video, especially areas in which I can improve in, maybe suggestions for future videos. I read every comment and I reply every comment, so you don't have to worry about me not seeing your comments. We really need more comments on this channel and I would really like to hear what you guys think. See you all next time. Cheers.